1. Amy Coney Barrett, a Supreme Court justice known for her sharp intellect and conservative judicial philosophy, sat at the center of the bench, her piercing gaze fixed on Karoline Leavitt, the young White House press secretary standing before the court. The chamber was heavy with anticipation, the air thick with the weight of a legal showdown that had captured the nation's attention. Barrett's voice, steady and authoritative, cut through the silence as she questioned Leavitt's qualifications to speak on matters of constitutional law, particularly after Leavitt's public criticism of a recent 5-4 Supreme Court decision on deportation flights to El Salvador. Leavitt, at just 28 years old, faced a potential contempt charge, a rare and dramatic moment for someone so young in such a high-profile setting. Barrett, a former Notre Dame Law School professor and clerk to Justice Antonin Scalia, was renowned for her adherence to textualism and originalism, principles that demanded precision in legal reasoning. Her question to Leavitt was not merely procedural but a challenge to the press secretary's legitimacy in questioning the judiciary's authority. The courtroom, packed with reporters, legal scholars, and political operatives, buzzed with whispers as all eyes turned to Leavitt, whose poised demeanor betrayed no hint of intimidation. She stood at the podium, her leather portfolio open, ready to respond to a justice whose reputation for intellectual rigor was unmatched. Barrett's inquiry was pointed. Miss Leavitt, what qualifications do you possess to challenge this court's interpretation of the Constitution? The question hung in the air, a test of Leavitt's ability to navigate the treacherous waters of judicial scrutiny. Leavitt, a political communicator by trade, had no formal legal training, yet her response would need to withstand the scrutiny of the nation's highest court. The stakes were monumental and not just for Leavitt personally, but for the broader tension between free speech and judicial authority. Her critics in the room, including some of Barrett's conservative allies, expected her to falter, assuming her youth and lack of a law degree would leave her defenseless against Barrett's legal acumen. Yet Leavitt's preparation was meticulous, her confidence unshaken. She began her response with a nod to the First Amendment, citing the 1941 case Bridges v. California, a landmark decision that protected criticism of judicial rulings unless it posed a clear and present danger to the administration of justice. Her voice was clear, her arguments structured, as she wove together precedent and principle to defend her statements. The gallery watched in stunned silence as Leavitt, undeterred by Barrett's formidable presence, articulated a defense rooted in constitutional protections for political speech. She argued that her remarks, while sharp, were within the bounds of free expression and did not undermine the court's authority. Barrett's expression remained unreadable, but other justices, including Sonia Sotomayor, leaned forward, visibly intrigued by Leavitt's unexpected command of legal doctrine. Leavitt's response was not just a defense but a bold assertion that the judiciary, while powerful, was not immune to public critique. She referenced New York Times v. Sullivan to underscore the importance of robust debate. Even when it challenged the judiciary's decisions, the room felt the shift. Leavitt was not merely deflecting but turning the tables, forcing the court to confront the boundaries of its own authority. Her argument drew on the Federalist Papers, invoking Madison's vision of a government accountable to the people, and she tied this to her role as a public servant amplifying the administration's perspective. The justices, accustomed to seasoned litigators, found themselves grappling with a political figure who spoke their language with surprising fluency. Leavitt's preparation, reportedly aided by a team of constitutional scholars, had transformed her from a press secretary into a formidable advocate. The media, scribbling furiously, sensed a story that would dominate headlines: a young woman, underestimated by her opponents, holding her own against one of the most powerful jurists in the land. Barrett, known for her meticulous opinions, such as in Corner Post, Incorporated v. Board of Governors, 2024, where she clarified administrative law timelines, now faced a different kind of challenge, one that tested the court's role in a polarized political landscape. Leavitt's response was not just about her own fate but about the broader question of how far the judiciary could go in policing public discourse. As she concluded her initial remarks, citing Justice Scalia's own writings on the importance of free speech, the chamber erupted in murmurs. Barrett, ever composed, leaned forward, her next question poised to probe deeper. setting the stage for a legal exchange that would resonate far beyond the courtroom walls. 2. Karoline Leavitt's response to Justice Amy Coney Barrett's challenge was a masterclass in legal and rhetorical agility, transforming what began as a tense courtroom confrontation into a defining moment in the ongoing debate over free speech and judicial power. As she stood at the podium, her youth and political background belied the depth of her preparation, which had been honed over days of intense study with legal advisors who anticipated Barrett's line of questioning. Leavitt's 15-page legal analysis, which she referenced with calm precision, was a meticulously crafted document that drew on Supreme Court precedents to argue that her criticism of the deportation ruling fell squarely within protected speech. She cited Falwell v. Flint, 1988, emphasizing that even offensive speech enjoyed First Amendment protections, and argued that her statements, while critical, posed no threat to the judiciary's integrity. The court